Good morning. John Shepherd McKenzie here, and it is Friday the 13th, if you give heed to such things. We have another text of judgment. Of course, we're in the period of the church that's sometimes called the end times. It's not a formal time, but as we get into November, we get more of these texts which have to do with the coming judgment of God. And today is no exception. It's Ezekiel chapter 7. Thus saith the Lord, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come. An end is come, the end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. The morning is come unto thee, O thou that dwellest in the land. The time is come, the day of trouble is near, and not the sounding again of the mountains. Now will I shortly pour out my fury upon thee, and accomplish mine anger upon thee. And I will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense thee for thine abominations. And mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. I will recompense thee according to thy ways, and thine abominations that are in the midst of thee. And ye shall know that I am the Lord that smiteth. Well, here we have a promise of short-term pain and suffering, as God properly judges and destroys that which has gone out of control and is no longer pleasing to him. And it's always God's prerogative to pull the plug on man, woman, child, species, continent, worlds. It's always God's prerogative to judge. Some have accused Christians of being nostalgic. Now, normally you think of nostalgia as something that's looking to the past, perhaps living in the past, almost denying the presence in order to live in the past. But the nostalgia that Christians are accused of is a different one. It's a nostalgia for the future, because after the judgment, the promises of God will be fulfilled. As we're reminded in Isaiah, the word of the Lord goes forth and does not return to him empty, but continues until it accomplishes that which he purposes. God will keep his promise to fulfill our lives. God will keep his promise to fulfill all of creation. God will keep his promise to bring all things into compliance with his holy and just and good and gracious will. And so Christians are rightly accused of having a nostalgia for the future, but more than a nostalgia, they are accused properly of investing their lives, not in the present suffering and travail, but in that which follows the present suffering and travail, the fullness of God's kingdom being deployed upon God's repossessed earth. So there's nostalgia for the future, and sometimes that nostalgia or that forward investment in the future is enough to get us through the darkest of days, the worst of our individual sufferings, the judgment that is poured out on nations that have turned their back upon the Lord's ways. We get through it, we hunker down, we survive this day in order that we might receive from the Lord's hand good in the morrow. Have a great weekend. God bless.